If Hitchcock can be believed, he said to me, I've never looked through a camera in my life.
Yeah, but he used to be an illustrator. I mean, he thinks visually. He makes little drawings. He knows what he's doing.
Tell us what that is. You draw out what's called a storyboard beforehand, and it
But some
shows...
people, I don't know. You must do this. I mean, some people think visually. I mean, when you read a script, you start seeing pictures.
I have trouble reading. I can't read, and I have trouble. I'm serious. I have trouble writing. I have
Why?
Grammar. I just my grammar's impossible, and I just learned to really pictures, always pictures.
Yes.
And have lose concentration reading novels or scripts or books and that sort of thing, and it's very hard. That's why when I read a script, usually I just read the dialogue. And very often I'm shooting a scene, and they'll come over to me and say, "Do you want the door to open in the beginning like it says in the script?" I say, "Where's that?" And I haven't even read the description.
See, you only read the dialogue.
Basically, only the dialogue, yeah. And I just, for some reason, find it very difficult to concentrate.
When I read a script, I start to see the shots.
Yeah, you begin to see
things.
You
The
begin to see
shots.
things, yeah.
You know, and if I read like if I read a script that Marty's going to do, or a script that George Lucas is going to do, or Spielberg's going to do, I can see what they're going to shoot, because I can sort of think how they're, knowing them and knowing the way they work, you can sort of think in their grammar.
Really? You can say he'll have Cassavetes in the background, the desk will be in the foreground, the camera will be about this high.
When I read Star Wars, I knew exactly, I had a very good idea what it was going to look like, knowing George and seeing some of the models and some of the drawings. I could see very much what it was going to look like.
But you still draw pictures. That's how I started getting fascinated. I used to draw little. I didn't know what they were. They were storyboards at the time. I was about 8 years old, 9 years old, and doing my own little movies in little film form. You know, sort of strips of paper and that sort of thing, in black and white and color in different ways. And I still make the storyboards as much as possible. New York, I did about only half the picture, but Taxi Driver was completely done, and Mean Streets completely. Alice, about 90%. You know,
without realizing it,
and even Les Waltz. Even Les Waltz. There were certain scenes in Les Waltz that were done in the MGM studio, which were completely storyboarded.
Another quote of Hitchcock's was that the fun of the movie for him was over before the shooting began. Do you believe that?
Well, for me, much of what I have a storyboard which I lay all around my room, and I look at all the shots in relationship to the whole. So I've sort of really worked it out in the whole scheme of the film. So when I go on the stage and start to shoot or go out on location, I very much shoot what's in the design. I sometimes, usually compress it because you don't have enough time, or you elaborate on it if you have more time. But I've more or less figured it out. And then the big problem is, of course, keep the life of the performances. And that's the problem with acting and the kind of movies that I make. The performances have got to be alive, or the whole thing just dies. And that when Hitchcock was at his worst is when those performances are dead. Then the whole superstructure doesn't really hold up at all.
Are there places in his movies where he couldn't deal with the actors properly?
Well, he miscast, or they're very badly. I mean, The Birds, I think, is a great movie if it wasn't for Tippi Hedren. I mean, she to me is just not interesting.